Born and raised in the motherland, chasing a better life. Story of an immigrant.
Concrete pastures.
Concrete pastures.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Concrete Pastures. As you know, this platform is for us immigrants, for us dreamers, to share insight on what it's like to be an immigrant. And today I have an amazing fellow immigrant from my country. And he currently resides in Florida, Orlando. And I'm excited to have this conversation with him. Please welcome my brother from another mother, Fancis kombe. Welcome, Fancis. It's been a
Oh,
minute.
thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
It's
thank
a
you for
pleasure
being
being here.
here. I know we have busy lives. It's the American life, and you coming from us from Florida. I don't know how busy it is over there, but I know in New York we're super busy. Today is my day off, so I'm excited to be here with you. For starters, could you just share a little bit about yourself, um, so we can get to know you a little bit more?
Thank you so much. First, I want to say congratulations. I love the initiative. It's just amazing, and I think a lot of people should tune in and learn a lot of things.
Thank
So,
you. I
it's
appreciate it. I
beautiful.
appreciate
It's
the
beautiful.
support.
It's a
Really, thank
platform.
you.
Yeah. Well, where do I begin? My name is Francis Kombe. I'm in Orlando, Florida. I've been here since 2001. And it's an amazing city, an amazing state, and I wouldn't trade it for any other place.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
in the healthcare business. I've worked in pharmaceutical before, um, with Nephron Pharmaceuticals. Then I joined Quest Diagnostics for 5 years. I worked for Wyndham, the Wyndham Hotels, and finally I settled in the healthcare industry, and I love it.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, Quest. Wow, that's where my our lab stuff go, right?
Indeed. You were
I'm
who was
constantly getting a
catching up all
bill
the
for my
sweet
kids, for myself, whatever, anything. I'm like, Quest. So let me write that down. Let me see if I can get a discount. But wow, thank you so much for sharing. You live in a city that I'm dreaming of living one day once I leave New York. It's warm and there's nothing better than that, really. But I'm going to take you back a little bit. You came here in 2001, right?
Correct.
Okay. And why the US? You could have gone anywhere in the world. Why the US?
That's a good question. Um, I think mainly it was because my brother-in-law was here, so that contact was there before. But I had fallen in love with the U.S. a long time ago, when I was just a teenager. You'd watch programs, and I was so much fascinated with the politics, actually.
Oh, wow.
From Bill Clinton's, Bush one, all that. So I loved the U.S. I was a big fan. I loved it. So when an opportunity presented itself, because we had somebody who was connected to us, I took it, especially because I wanted to further my life, improve my life. I wanted bigger things. So
Nice.
I haven't regretted at all.
Nice. But how did you come here? Did you come here by visa? Did someone sponsor you? Because I hear that was an opportunity presented. Did you come here by visa before we come here?
We came under a tourist visa.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
We just came visiting, and we loved the place, and we stayed.
Oh,
So
nice.
we didn't come through school or something. No, I just came through the B2 visa, actually.
Oh, nice. What were you doing prior to coming in Zambia? Like, just give us a little bit of a taste of what you were
So
up
I
to
worked for
before you
Cadbury
decided.
Sweats. I worked for Cadbury Sweats on the Copper Belt, and then joined Discount Steel. This was the largest supplier of steel in Southern Africa, actually, South African company. So it was a very good job. Um, I was in charge of the mines, and yeah, I managed that account. So that's basically what I did before I came.
So you decided, let me leave everything that I know and just go see what America has to give. Let me go visit. And when you came, you just fell in love.
I came here, fell in love. Actually, coming here, I had already made up my mind. I was not going back.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so I wanted to explore, and I loved it. The experience itself has been amazing, and a lot of lessons I've learned.
Let's talk about those lessons. Like, what have you, because I know coming here, it's a new place, it's a new environment. We have to adjust to a lot of things, the food, the weather. Like for us in New York, it's the cold weather. It's just day and night from where we come from. And then you going to Florida, I know sometimes you guys have these tornadoes and it shakes up everything when you're there. That's another reason why I'm actually dilly-dallying to going. But what are some of the challenges that you faced or triumphs adjusting to the new environment?
The first thing I think was the heat. The humid itself, just the way we were greeted at the airport, it was just, I was like, what in the world is this? I mean, I couldn't breathe. And just
Wow.
that the initial uh, period we were here, just going outside was a big thing. Like you couldn't breathe. Our humidity is just so high.
Yeah.
So that was the major challenge. The humid was just we came, it was summer. We came in July and it was
Oh.
still so hot. So,
Uh,
that was the biggest challenge we had. But with time we adjusted, and now this is home.
Got it, got it. And how about work-wise? How was it for you? Because I've been to Florida a couple of times, and I don't know what it's like to live there. And it's different. Like in New York City, it's easier for women to get jobs. Is it easier for men to find jobs? Was it easy for you to find a job when you first came? Because I mean, aside from just visiting, when you decided to stay, you needed to make a living for yourself. How was
Correct.
that process?
Um, we were a little bit lucky because the people we found actually were very, very outgoing. They received us, and quickly they orientated us. They gave us the orientation to
Oh, wow.
learn about the ropes, and they started taking us to different places to apply for jobs. And I remember before we came, we had that mindset that uh, like I knew I wasn't going to have the job that I had back home. So I was going to go down, but that's okay. So I was in sales, but when I came in, I think my first job was in a gas station, and I loved it. Uh, you know, uh, Being around people in sales, it was easy for me.
Uh-huh.
But um, it wasn't like we just arrived and we had jobs. No, we went around. They used to take us over the on weekends, take us to places, apply.
Mhm.
They even taught us how to apply. You know, um, some words that you need to learn. The British system versus American system.
Tell me
So
about it.
oh man, So yeah, my first job was at a gas station. I loved it. I was there for like 3 years. Excuse me.
Wow.
Before I worked for Nephron Pharmaceuticals as a QA. So that was my journey. And then from Nephron, I joined Quest, and
Mm.
yeah, still in the yeah. But it wasn't that easy because when we came in, that's when I think we came in July, September 11 happened
Yeah.
like two
Yeah.
months later. So everything pretty much changed. The
Ah.
approach, and even the warmth they had for immigrants just wasn't there. Now you had to prove that if you were in the country and you wanted to go to school, you needed to have maybe 3, 4 bank statements to back you up. They
Oh
wanted
my
to see
gosh.
more money. Everything changed actually after 9/11. So the
Oh,
life of an immigrant really changed, especially in Florida, considering the fact that one of the guys, Muhammad Atta, actually went to school for piloting over here in the U.S.
mm.
In Florida, actually, that the state itself being under Republicans was tight for immigrants. So it wasn't that easy after 9/11 for an immigrant to
Wow.
Florida.
No, I'm glad you shared that because when 9/11 happened, I remember exactly how I found out. I was at Nando's in town on Cairo Road. Anybody from Zambia can know this in Lusaka. And just the news broke down. Everybody was just talking about America. And at that time, my mom's young sister was here. So we were all concerned. And she was in New York. And it was very scary. We were trying to get hold of her. Thank God we got hold of her. We tried to call so many times. I guess the phone lines were not working. A lot of things, I mean, power was cut off from what I heard, even from my previous husband who was here at the time when that happened. He was telling me stories about what happened, that power, and there was smoke all over the place. Like smoke was here for days and days and days. And it was the saddest moment ever. But for here things changing, and the things actually changed for me because 2 days after 9/11 I got my visa.
Oh wow!
Yes, and for some reason I don't know. There was like this vibe at the embassy where it was people were so calm, or it was just my day. When it's your day, it's just your day.
Indeed.
But there was just that sense of welcoming when I went to the embassy, and I didn't feel any kind of way. I was nervous, but I just was, I didn't feel any kind of way of being scared and stuff like that. But the people were very nice, very welcoming. But I'm glad, I'm thankful that you shared that because wow, 9/11 was changed a lot of things for people, especially people of New York and immigrants. That overall it changed. The rules became more stricter, and even coming when I finally came, it was also like very strict.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared that. Wow.
Yeah. So
So when you came by yourself or you came with other people?
I came with my wife
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, and with my friends, two of my friends. So yeah,
So you had that support together for each other and stuff like that.
correct.
Oh, very nice, very nice. So I know leaving the country is very difficult for me. It was a lot more difficult for me because I was younger. I was leaving my mom, my sisters, and it was just challenging to leave and just to leave and go to the unknown. So I was terrified. How was it for you? How difficult was it for you to leave the country?
It was a very difficult thing or decision to make. We had two daughters then,
Oh,
and they were 2 and 5. So leaving them, and this is something that, when you're coming in this country, you don't know. People are like, okay, it's okay, you can go, just go.
mm-hmm.
After 2 or 3 months, they'll follow you.
Yes.
That's what we thought. Well, it took us 12 years. We
Ooh,
stayed separate for 12 years.
12
That's the only
years?
part that was very difficult as an immigrant coming in and having part of your family still back home. It's the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing. So we came in, and our daughters were 2 and 5, like I said, and we started just grinding. And like I said, after 9/11, things changed. So when we started now trying to get them here, it
Mm-hmm.
was so hard. It was very, very difficult. It took us 12 years.
I'm so
But
sorry you went through that. I can't
yeah,
imagine. My kids are 2 and 7 right now,
yeah,
and I cannot imagine being apart from them. This is wow, 12 years.
yeah. Now, I wouldn't advise anybody to leave their kid unless they have a backup plan.
Yeah.
And this is another thing. You need to get more information before you start off.
Oh,
Find
I
out.
completely agree.
Exactly,
Uh,
find out how people live, how's the system, how easy are things. Because if you just come, you'll be shocked, like we were. We thought maybe in 2 or 3 months the kids were going to join us, and it took us 12 years. It
and
wasn't
Francis, I don't think people tell us the truth completely.
correct.
If people were so transparent with us that are back home, because it's traditional for us
Correct.
to like, oh, you can leave your kids. And you have a whole community taking care of your kids. You are just not worried about if they are safe. They were safe, I'm sure.
Very safe.
But it's just that you as a parent leaving your kids, you want them to grow up with you as a father, as a mother. I can't imagine, especially mothers. Hey.
It was a big challenge that we were just a newlywed couple,
Mm.
very young. It was tough, and I wish more people going forward as they come be given that information. You need to get a lot of information, and the problem is when we come here, some of us, instead of telling people back home the truth, we want to show off. you know Instead of just telling them even the money that we make, it's not just easy money. We work for it. There's a lot of, and this is another thing that I actually appreciate about this country that I discovered is people work over here. Like you work, no
For
joke,
every penny.
for every penny,
Yep.
and they're real bills over
Yep.
here. So you learn a lot. You learn a lot.
I love it. That real bills.
Real bills, not back home where you're living in a house, it's yours. No, you're paying for the house. You don't have a
Hmm.
car, you're paying for a car, insurance, all those
Oh,
things. So it's
no,
but
it's a lot
I
of
don't
work.
regret.
It's
It's
a
the
lot of
best
work.
decision I've ever made.
No, no, that's good. That you feel that way, that that's the best decision you've ever made. But I'm glad that you're letting people know that it's not easy when you make this decision of moving to another country, especially the US. It's not as we see it on TV.
Correct.
I'm sure like you and I bought into whatever we were seeing on TV in the movies and stuff like that. It's not like that. It's
No, it's
super
not to
hard. Yeah, it's very hard to adjust. And my ask for everybody, even listening and tuning in, is for people to be just transparent. Just be transparent of how it is like to be an
correct.
immigrant. Your challenges will teach somebody something, so they don't have to go through it. And for you actually sharing about your kids and waiting 12 years, that's a long time. That's painful.
It's a gap will never close, but
Yes,
I'm
and
glad
you
they're
never
here
know, your
now.
kids might be, not even wanting that, thank God, but they
Correct.
have love. But it's a lot. It's a lot as immigrants because I remember when we would first had our daughter, my mom was like, "Oh, you could send your daughter back home." I was like, "Hmm."
I know.
She's like, oh yeah, we can watch her for you. We can raise her so you can, live your life with your husband and do all of that. I'm just like, this is not the generation. Because with us, we were raised by my grandmother. And it's not the same generation. I haven't experienced my mom the same way my sisters are experiencing my mom now. I experienced my mom in bits and pieces of who she is, and she experienced me differently. And it's challenging when you are an immigrant to try to navigate and do all of these things, try to make a living. Um, Another thing I wanted to discuss with you, aside from the difficulties and the challenges that you've gone through, like what advice would you give somebody out there in wherever they are in the world? Like if they are preparing to say they are dreaming, they've been dreaming for all their lives they say, I want to go to Florida. I like the weather, I like what I see, or Miami, you know, Orlando, I want to go to live next to Disney World. You guys have that Disney World over there.
We did. Well, the first thing I can say is find out information. Information is key. You need to find out about the state where you're going,
Hmm.
communicate. Make sure you communicate to the people you're going to, or if it's just you, you have to know exactly what you want to do. Because we've had situations where somebody comes in, they had a great job, and they come here, they can't do any small jobs. So you find people are stuck because it's not really, I don't want to call it pride, but that's their principle. Maybe they're working in a bank back home or for a big company, and they come here and you tell them, hey, there's a job across the street. You can start from the gas station. People find it so hard to adjust to that. So if you're inviting somebody, make sure you prep them. One thing you need to learn, actually, if you're coming in as an immigrant, many a times we start low, most of us. You have to learn to accept that you're going to go down first, as in maybe the job you're going to pick is not going to be so pleasant if you had a big job. But with time, you learn and appreciate, and eventually you can land in a place where you are so comfortable and you really appreciate. So patience pays if you're an immigrant. Learn the ropes, and if you're coming in, make sure when you come in, introduce yourself. If there's an association in the area, make sure you join. So you let people know, hey, I'm here. My name is Francis. I came in yesterday. I've come here to join you. So when people know about you, then if there are opportunities in the neighborhood or in the community, they'll tell you, oh, actually, they're hiring this side. Would you do such a job? So those things, I think, are very cardinal as you come in. You got to know the terrain first. You have to understand where you're going. You can't just leave Zambia and you go to Alaska, or you go to Minnesota or Chicago, and it's so cold you can't stand it. It helps if you have the information. You know what you're going to expect. So very important. And just start from somewhere. Don't be scared of starting from somewhere. And this is the reason why I love Florida so much. Everybody in this state is from somewhere. So you quickly feel like you're home. I'll speak for Florida. You quickly feel like you're home. You have people from Venezuela, from Haiti, from Russia, from all over the world.
Yeah.
So you just have to find your niche.
Yeah.
So
Really good advice. Really good advice. Find out information, which is something I didn't do much, but we live and learn. And being able to be open-minded, I think that's what I would add to what Francis just shared. Be open-minded to whatever comes your way. The fact that you left your country, it takes a lot of guts to leave everything that you know, your culture, your community, your family. And in a lot of cases, children, husbands, wives, for you to show up and then just say, I'm not going to do that because it's beneath me, or it's just not your niche, or it's not just, you don't want to waste your time. If you do your research and people are honest, like this platform, feel free to reach out to me. This is why I'm creating this community. And I can, if I don't live in Minnesota, I can find somebody who lives in Minnesota and maybe tell you how it's like to be in Minnesota or Florida. Francis can be able to explain to you the ropes of how to find a job, or the ropes of how to find housing over there. I can only speak for New York on how it is in New York, because I know it's challenging for men to find work in New York. It's hard. It's hard. For women, it's much easier. We can do pretty much anything. Babysitting, housekeeping, we're there. It's very rare that they hire a man to do housekeeping work. Very rare.
And you're right. You're right. The same applies with Florida, actually. Ladies find jobs easily. Very easy for ladies to find a job. And like I was saying, it's also a two-way street. It's not just on the person who's coming in as an immigrant. I think this is a challenge that I would throw to people who are in the country. Be welcoming. If you hear there's a new person who has come,
I like that. I like that.
Call them. Call the person where they're leaving, where they're staying, or just go there so you meet them. It's very important to And we've improved on that, because the people that came, like 2001 was, we were just like the first generation of people who came in Florida, in Orlando.
Yeah.
So people who came after us really had it wasn't easy, but it was okay for them, because more information now was being offloaded. And this
Yeah.
is a challenge that I give to every person that is in the US or anywhere in the diaspora. If you hear there's a new person that has come in, please introduce yourself to them. Don't wait for them to introduce themselves to you. Help. Find out if there are any jobs that anywhere where they're hiring. Share, and this is where associations now come in.
Yeah.
You know new people are in. Somebody says, hey, my workplace, they're hiring. Quickly post that in your WhatsApp group. Hey guys, if anybody wants to get a job here, or maybe babysitting, there's somebody who wants babysitting, stuff like that. So if we work together, I think life can be easier for us as immigrants. And
No,
then
I
stay
love
low,
that.
stay humble. Sometimes as immigrants, when we come in and you get that first paycheck and you get the money, now you start buying clothes. It's just sneakers and clothes, and don't make that mistake. Don't make that mistake. The money is good, enjoy it, but save your money. Save your money. It's very important. Don't get in the habit of borrowing things or taking things on credit. A car, you have a car note. You're paying for this, you're paying for the couch, you're paying for that. It's not necessary. It's going to take you years to settle if you go that route. So discipline yourself when you come in. Stay low to the ground. Save your money. It's not parties there, expensive shoes here, that, all those payments. If you're making payments, imagine you have a new job and you get all these things that you're paying for, and you lose your job. So as an immigrant, let's have that discipline also. It really helps a lot.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. We have to be disciplined in everything that we do. There's a lot of distraction in the US or a lot of countries where we go to, and just knowing your values and having your beliefs also, it helps. I've only survived America. This year's going to be 20 years through my faith, and just going back to that and having my values, and I'm nowhere perfect, but I know how my mom raised me, my grandmother raised me, and I have those core values of, you have to know what you stand for, or you stand for anything, whatever comes. There's like Fancis was saying, there's credit, use it wisely. That's all. That's what he's trying to say. It's just it's important to have credit, because in America that's important. That's a topic I'm actually going to go in depth with. One of the episodes, I was scared to have credit when I came, but if in the future you want to buy a home, you need to have some type of credit. And when you borrow, you have to be able to pay back on time.
On time, that's key.
On time.
All those late payment charges, they accumulate a lot.
Yes. And I have a whole topic that I want to cover on that with anybody. Whoever is interested can DM me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm happy to cover that. It can be just to be our community, and I'm happy to cover that. We can actually do that live because I'm comfortable to do that. So you've been here since 2001. Have you been back home yet?
No, I haven't.
No.
I haven't been yet.
Wow. How is that feeling?
It's tough. I'm still connected to home, because I love and I want to retire soon and just go back home, and I think try and do something while they still have the energy. And that's another thing for immigrants, somebody who comes in the country. Make sure you have a plan. If your goal is staying over here, I'll start looking at buying a house, like you said, But if your intention is not staying here, make sure you invest back home.
Yeah.
Don't be caught up, don't be fooled in all these dollars that you're having and you just start blowing them up. Always have a backup. Always invest back home. Always. It
Yeah.
helps. Other
Yeah.
countries, they're bigger. They're big on that. India, Mexico, Nigeria, they
Yeah.
invest a lot back home.
Mm-hmm.
Invest so that even here, if you're working and maybe you lose your job, if you have property back home, it can pay your rent over here. So
Yeah.
don't just come in and just for the buildings and just the landscape. No, have a plan.
Yeah.
Lay down. If you came here for school, quickly get into school if you can, situate yourself. If you came here and maybe you want to go back one day, invest back. If
Yeah.
you're going to stay here, all I'm saying is you need to have a plan. It
Yeah.
just it doesn't just do you good as an immigrant, just come in and just start living day by day. That's not the way to do it. Remember, there's a reason why you came here. So don't forget that. Choose your friends wisely. You don't just come in the city and everybody's your friend. No, make sure you run slow, find out who's who, know people. Don't get into crimes, don't do drugs, all those things. So life of an immigrant, I think, is a total package.
Yeah.
The total package. At the end of the day, I think you want to have something you can point to and say, this is what I've done. Because don't forget, people back home over expect. They
They're waiting.
oh,
It's
they're
like,
waiting for you. Something happens and you go home and you have nothing, you die of depression. They're gonna land on you like, okay, what did you come with from the US? Just
yeah.
an accent? You don't want that. So
Okay. You heard it from the man. But really, really good advice. Like I said, there's a lot of distraction. If you have a plan when you come, have a plan of what it is that you're looking to do when you come to the US. We only speaking on behalf of US because this is where we are. He's in Florida, I'm in New York City, and having a plan, it would help you navigate on how, no matter what challenges you face, and if you have that goal, you won't tear you away from what you're trying to achieve. And this is just for fun. What type of stereotype have you faced since you've been in Florida? Like for me, it's normally my what what do you see when I was back home? Like, what do you see when you open up your window? So I'll tell them, I see a wall, and people are surprised because they're expecting me to tell them, oh, I see, a lion right there.
I know, right?
Yeah. What type of stereotype have you incurred, if any?
Oh man, I was, when I came in, I was so sensitive. Anybody who pass a joke on Africa, I'll be like my
You're ready to
accent can
attack.
come out really bad. I'll be like, first of all, let me tell you, my English will just change. I was so aggressive in the beginning, and then with time, because you would have silly questions like, "Hey, so do you eat lions? Oh, so when you land at the airport, do you see lions and giraffes and even simple things like they'll ask you, even a simple thing like maybe a radio or something. Do you guys have this? How old are you when you start the first time you wear shoes? Stuff like that.
Wow, that's a new one.
Yeah,
I
you
never
you
heard.
have people like that, but it's not everybody. But you're gonna have questions like that. With maturity and time, I started loving questions like that because it was an opportunity for me to educate the patient. They are so detached from the world. They think because what they see about Africa is just a young toddler with no shirt and a big tummy and flies on a
Yep.
nose and everything. That's all they know about Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't do any good to be mad. Actually, I used to be very aggressive with it. But with time, I think I started loving questions like that then I would sit somebody down and just educate them. And because I'm a student of politics, I loved politics, and I would go in the American system and just over explain stuff. You know, I over explain stuff just to show off that, hey, I know a little something about you that you don't even know.
Yeah.
So sometimes people ask you that. It's just that's the only exposure they've had. That's the
Yeah.
only window they have seen Africa from, is just from the
Hmm.
TVs and, the begging of money, help out this village,
Yes.
stuff like that. So that was a challenge.
Yeah. No, listen, I'm happy that you actually can admit it's like with maturity you get to, because we come from a different culture. And what I tell people when they ask me, you have to have an open mind. There's a lot of things that you're not going to like. And that's a lot of things that are going to have you like shocked and just like, this is allowed. Because for me, when I started to do babysitting, I witnessed a daughter and a mother like yelling at each other, and the daughter was cursing at her mother. And I just remembered my mom in that moment. I was like, how would Miss J act with this situation right here? And it would not even get to me to be able to go to that extent. That's the thing. So for me, I was so shocked. The culture shock was just like, oh my God, are you that close to your mother? And they were very close. She would share everything with her mother. And for me, it was just mind boggling. I love the aspect of the bond that they have, but then how far do you go? The level of disrespect that came with it. And for me as an immigrant, the culture difference was I admired one thing, and then the other part of the level of disrespect when they were arguing and the cursing part of it. And I'm just like, I don't know how to adjust to this. And
Correct.
I just left it there to just have an open mind, I guess, and not to judge, I
Mhm.
guess, in a way. And just you can look at things, you don't like it, it's okay, but don't judge, because this is how things are in people's homes in here in America. This is how things are. And people see Africa in the lens of the TV, just like we saw America in the lens of a TV. And
That
when we
is right.
come here, the reality of it is completely different. It's night and day from what we see. Because for me, babysitting was like Mrs. Doubtfire. You know how Mrs. Doubtfire
Yeah.
dances on TV. And I'm like, okay, that's the type of housekeeping I'm going to be doing. I'm in. And then the reality came. I was crying every single day. I was like, what type of life is this? This is what I signed up for. But yeah, it can be very depressing when you don't accept what the changes that you're coming into are. And for stereotypes, just go with it. It is what it is. It comes with the territory. If you have an opportunity to educate, like Francis is doing, please educate in a way that's respectful to the people. They probably just don't know and they want to know. And that's an opportunity for us to educate and inform someone in a way.
Right. Another thing that was a challenge for me was there was a time during my stay in the U.S. When I
Mm.
experienced racism full blown. Like
Oh,
I
wow.
worked and I was in this department, and they were not elevating anybody of color, any person
Mm.
of. So white females would come, would train them and show them the ropes,
Mm.
but they get the promotion and they'll become our managers. So that to me was so hard. And you find, and it's not, it wasn't their fault. It was the system itself
Yeah.
at that place,
Yeah.
in that department, you know? And you find they're in trouble. When they're in trouble, they call you to come and resolve things.
Yeah.
And this is a person who comes in, you train them, then later on they become your manager. So for some immigrants, you're going to face racism. Um, you will face it in certain places. Would I say America is a racist nation? Not at all. Not at all. There are some amazing people who do not see people for the color of their skin.
Of course.
But you're going to face racism at some point
Yeah.
as an immigrant. Unfortunately, maybe not everybody, but most people face it sometimes. It might be at a workplace, or it might be at maybe at school. You will face that. So it's also good to know and be aware of who you are first.
Yeah.
Very important. Very important. Don't just, because if you don't, then you face it. You'll be shocked. You'll be like, why is this happening to me? But if you know and you read the system itself, you know the system, like the issue of police and stuff like that, it's good. It boils back to knowing where you are, your surrounding, information again. You
Yeah.
have to know. So those are things you might face as an immigrant, but I just want you to know that it's not everybody who's racist. Beautiful and wonderful people or white, they don't see us for the color of our skins. Another thing was people getting too friendly. It was amazing. It was unbelievable. Like you go on the street and everybody says what's up. Black and white. To me, that was like, wow, okay. You pass somebody, they're gonna say hi. Like I'll speak for Florida, like, hey, what's up? How are you? They'll greet you.
Yeah.
To me, that was a little bit strange because I'm coming from Africa. Not everybody's gonna say what's up to you.
No, we don't
They
greet each other.
I mean, they're not harmful or dangerous, no, but they're not just gonna say hi.
Yeah. We're not that way. We don't
Yes,
say hi to strangers. We
yes,
just
but
pass.
over here, strangers who say what's up.
Yeah.
So to me, that was very different. I was like, wow, this place people are friendly.
Well, that's in Florida. New York, we don't do that.
In Florida, I'll speak for Florida. Like I told you, hey, anybody who's listening, this is the base state in the US. Everybody's from somewhere, I'm telling you. So this is, you got to come here first and maybe go to New York.
Listen, New York is a melting pot of everybody from everywhere.
Right.
The UN is here after all. Come on.
Well, everybody comes to Disney, right?
Yes, the UN is here. So you meet people from everywhere and you get to eat. You can dream of whatever you want to dream of. I want to eat Japanese food. You get it. Whatever you dream of, Peruvian food, you get it. So if you wake up one day, I want Russian food, it's right there. You just Google it. It's there.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that your state is that way too. And it's important to have diversity. And yes, sometimes your state is different. New York is more inclusive. I haven't experienced, I'm sorry that you experienced part of that. And it's challenging to go through that.
It is.
It's really challenging, especially as an immigrant. First of all, you feel like an outsider already when you come in. And then to feel discriminated against, it also adds on a layer of its own difficulty. But I'm grateful that you shared. And just for somebody to be just open-minded to things that might happen. I mean, we go through a lot of things, but just be more open-minded with a lot of things that could happen. And that a lot Francis has shared, actually. Do you feel you found your concrete pastures in America at this stage in your life?
I did. I finally found myself.
Oh,
sometimes you walk around in life and you're just. But now I'm in a place where I can say I've truly found myself. I know exactly what I want to do. And because of the exposure, I've learned a lot of things, how to relate with people. I'm a work in progress, but I've been exposed to stuff like knowing how to relate to people who might not agree with you.
yes.
And knowing that it's okay, they don't need to agree with you. That is still okay, stuff like that. So I think I'm so happy that I've actually found myself.
No, that's good. Concrete pastures is different for everybody. And for you being able to find that, it's a blessing. And being able to tell people that I don't have to agree with you for us to get along. It's okay if we disagree. We all have different opinions. We are raised differently. We all have different backgrounds. And it's okay to have our differences, but we still can get along even if we have our differences. I accept you because You different? I'm okay with that.
Correct.
So that's maturity right there, and it's great to be open-minded to all kinds of things. Do you have anything to share that I might have not asked you that you want to share with the community to inspire them?
Yeah, sure. Being here 21 years has also taught me something. Maybe it's because of the field that I'm in, caregiving.
Mm,
It has taught me to value life a lot. You know, when you're taking care of these clients, and you some of them you're with them until they die, and you move into the next client. It
yeah.
teaches you. It shows you how fragile life is. Because you get to bond with these people, and you know their past, and you see in their prime days how they were, and now they're in a fragile place. That gives you a different understanding of life. Not to take life for granted, really, is what I've learned.
Mm,
Every day, leave it to the max. Be good to people always. I've learned that. And another thing that I might want to talk about is, as immigrants, as you settle and maybe you start having a family,
mm-hmm.
parenting, when I look around, is very hard for immigrants, because our children they were not cut from the cloth we were cut from. So mannerism, they want to answer back. This, they have everything, yet they complain. There's no food in the house. They go to school, they jump on a bus, they have computers at school, food at school, but still don't want to go to school. So most parents, it's a challenge when it comes to behavior of our kids. And you have to be very careful. This is where now the village concept comes in.
Mm,
Sometimes if you close it in and think you are just the person who's going to raise your kids, it might end up being a challenge. That's the reason why you introduce your kids to the community. They know that's Uncle Francis, that's Uncle Brian there, that's Uncle Jimmy, that's Auntie that. We teach them the values of family. It's a big challenge. Like my son, I'll tell you this for nothing. I sent my son when he was 7 years old. He was born in 2002. When he was 7, I sent him back home for a year
whew,
because I couldn't control him behavior wise.
yeah.
So, so parenting is a big challenge in our community, Zambians in the US. I meet most of the times parents that are having trouble with their kids. They're a different generation, they're a computer generation, they're phone generation. So we coming in with values, old values and old teachings, we clash a lot. I think the first thing is, don't make your child to be your friend first. You have to be a parent first.
Yeah.
Don't forget that. Draw that line so deep in the sand that they know that you're mom, but you can lose it if you want to. So they know that you're going to embrace them and love them when they're down,
Yeah.
but you're going to call them out when they're wrong. The
Yeah.
problem I've found as immigrants, I'm still talking about immigrants. We want to be popular with our kids, and that's a mistake. That's not your job as a parent. Your job as a parent is sometimes protect your child from themselves. So it means you're going to say a lot of no's. Dad, I want shoes. No, I don't have money. And that's okay. The problem is we curve in so quickly. So if we have a generation of our kids being born here, the first generation, and they're not well bred, we're going to have problems in the future. You're going to be in your 60s and the 70s and still having heart attacks because of the way your children and your grandchildren are behaving. So make sure as you come in, you start a family, introduce your children to culture. I like how the Muslims do it.
Yeah.
Even Spanish people, they still keep it traditional, but they're in the US. But for us, sometimes we just want to throw everything out. We just want to be buddy buddies with our kids. We should be friends with our kids, but not
I
to extent
mean,
where you
the,
call them.
the the parenting card is a lot of work. As immigrants, you don't have that support it's
Correct.
great that you guys do have the support in Florida, for instance. Like in New York, everybody's busy. We don't necessarily have that community of I can go leave my daughter somewhere there for someone to watch or for aunties such and such to watch. It depends where your community is. And I love what you're saying. I agree with you completely. We cannot be friends with our kids. And I love the what you covered on respecting and enjoying life when you are taking care of your clients and what life brings out of that. It's important to enjoy your life, be respectful to people. And when it comes to parenting, it's a big topic that I actually want to cover. It's a really big topic because
It's a mammoth topic.
everybody is different on how we're handling this parenting
Correct.
situation. I have challenges of parenting. I am struggling in some days. Some days I'm okay, but some days I'm struggling because of my 2-year-old. He just tests me. I'll be frank. He just tests my parenting. He wakes up and he's just testing. He's like, okay, so how far can I go if I pour the orange juice over here? And he looks and looks
Your
at me.
your
So
response.
back home, I'll get a smacking for that. And then over here we have ACS,
Yes, sir.
Child Protective Services. So probably that this is why we're a little bit lenient
Correct.
when it comes to things. So
They in Head Start. They in Head Start. They're 4 years old. And
yes,
they give
so
them the 911 number to
even
call.
my daughter knows how to call
I mean, come on.
911. My daughter
Yes.
knows, like they teach them all of these things in school.
Correct.
So if we are an immigrant, we're a little bit scared to go off on these kids,
Correct.
Francis. Okay,
Correct.
we're
I
a
agree.
little we're a little bit scared to go off because first of all, you're not gonna have me deported because I went off on you, little boy.
Exactly.
I worked
Exactly.
too hard to be here. Oh no, we're not gonna say that on here.
I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. This is
So
some real stuff. This is some real stuff. And you
yes,
want to be
so
very careful not to respond.
I'm with you with the parenting. It's a little bit challenging. Even the people that are not born here and they come with their kids,
Yes.
it's hard to have those kids because they change. They are a product of their environment. And for me right now, I'm just installing my faith that my mom and my grandmother installed in me, having them believe in God. Because if in the future, God forbid, they're going through something, they have something to lean into,
Right.
something that they believe in that's bigger than them. That's all I'm focusing on for now.
Right.
And because they're not going to grow up like I grew up. Because a lot of us immigrants, we want to install how we grew up back home. These guys
That's a
are
great
not in the
point.
third world.
That's a great point.
They're not in the third world. They
Correct.
are in a rich country, very
Correct.
rich,
Correct.
and everything is at their disposal. I
Correct.
want an iPhone. My daughter is 7 years old. She has an iPhone, a very
Yeah.
expensive phone.
Correct.
I don't even have the type of phone she has. I'll be honest. But we, everybody has their way of parenting because it's already we beat up ourselves on how I'm parenting every single day. I beat up myself. I'm not doing enough on this. I'm not doing enough on that. Maybe I need to read more. Maybe I need to do math more. And
Correct.
it's challenging juggling jobs, parenting, and for some of you guys that are marriage, and then you have to take care. If you have 4 kids or 3 kids or whatever kids, you have to take care of all of those kids. So
It is.
parenting is challenging for us.
It is very challenging.
Yeah,
And that's something that can bring you down as an immigrant if
yes,
you're not very
because
careful.
you don't have the community, you don't have the support. Depending on where you are in the world or in the States, you don't have that support. So it's crazy, but let's be compassionate with each other. I guess with that, when we are navigating this journey of being a parent as an immigrant. But I always leave a quote for my audience. I am inspired by a lot of people, Kobe Bryant behind you, Nelson Mandela, Oprah Winfrey, just to name a few. And I read a lot of African proverbs that I normally leave for my audience. What do you live by? What has gotten you to this point in your life, just to inspire the audience?
I have role models too. I love proverbs a lot. I read about African proverbs a lot, and I love it. But it's very important to be rooted in the Word of God. It really, 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 really is important. Put God first in whatever you do. So if when you start from there, knowing that you're not going to do it all, you don't know it all, you're not always going to be right. Just don't take yourself too serious. Is one thing that I've embraced.
Yeah.
It really helps when you're
Yeah.
disappointed, when something happens to you and you're like, why me? Well, who do you want it to happen to? Sometimes life would just be life.
Yeah.
So don't take yourself too serious. Love more, but begin with loving yourself. Very important. You're not going to love the next person if you don't love yourself.
That's true. That's true.
And just be kind to people. You don't know what the next person is going through.
Yeah.
So those are values I leave on. And
No, thank you for sharing. That's all I have for you. And for anybody who's listening to this episode, as you've heard from Francis, we have a lot of triumphs and we have a lot of our challenges that we go through. And I think me and him share the same thing, having faith as your bottom line, as something that you can go to revisit, believing in something bigger than you, and knowing what your goal is when you go to these countries, understanding what your goal is. You're definitely going to have distractions. You're going to have your challenges. Just know what you came for. And I'm grateful for you, sir, for joining me today.
thank you.
So I look forward to having another conversation, especially on parenting. I would love for you to join. It's an episode that I want to cover because I've gone through a lot of challenges, and I would love to cover that with you. And thank you so much. I know you're super busy. Our lives here are busy. To get people to be on here, it takes like a lot. But I'm grateful that you took time out to join me. Thank you.
Thank you.
And for
There's no other
inspiring
place
me.
that I could have chosen to be, but this place. So I'm very excited. Keep up the spirit. And
Thank
to everybody
you.
there who's an immigrant, don't over worry about two people back home. Also take care of yourself.
That's true. That's really good
Always taking care
advice.
of yourself.
No,
Yes.
that's really
Thank
good
you so much
advice.
for inviting me. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for being here, and I appreciate you for supporting and inspiring the community. Thank you. This was a great conversation. Thank you. All righty. I'll talk to you soon.
All righty. Thank you.
All right.